boys and girls. I'm so excited that you're going to get to participate with us in our clay project from home. So one of the things that you should be learning about clay in science is that it is a natural resource and it comes from the ground, and you find it most often in the ground around riverbeds, places where there is some moisture. So I'll be talking to you a little bit about the process as we go through making this. First of all, the piece of clay that you have, I would suggest that you pull off a smaller chunk. If you look at this, you can see that it would probably take about 2 of these to make the one bigger piece. So you'll start with one whole piece like this, and then just look at it and imagine splitting it into 3 sections and pull off one of those 3 sections. And then we're going to start with this piece making a pinch pot. Pinch pots have been made for thousands of years since people first started learning how to use clay. It doesn't take anything, no technology, just using your hands basically. So with that larger piece of clay in your hands, you're going to roll just to get it kind of round. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just want it roundish. And you can also roll on the table. What I'm using is a canvas board, which is great for using clay because it keeps it from sticking to your table. You could use a cutting board, that might help. With this project, you don't usually have too much trouble with it sticking, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. You could probably just use your kitchen table. Okay, so I'm going to hold the clay in my weaker hand, which for me is my left hand because I use my right hand for writing. So this is my stronger hand. So you're holding it in your weaker hand, and then you're going to take your thumb and push it into the clay, but not all the way through. Close to the bottom, but not all the way through. And then with these fingers, you just pinch. And this is why we call it a pinch pot. Pinching is a way that we form things with clay. And I'm just turning my pot as I'm pinching with my fingers. You don't want to pinch too much. You don't want to get it too thin. You try to keep the walls of the pot even, and I would say no thinner than about 1/4 of an inch. So Mom and Dad could pull out a ruler for you and help you if you're worried that it's getting too thin. Okay? And then once you've got it pretty well formed, you can try to pull up a little bit as you pinch. If you want to try and make it a little taller, you just have to be careful that you're not spreading the clay out too much so that it doesn't get thin. Okay, and then I'm going to put it down on the table or the board, and I want it to be kind of even and make sure that it doesn't wobble. So when it's sitting flat, if you take your thumb and you push down inside of it, that will help make the bottom flat so that it will sit on that bottom without wobbling over. And then you can kind of just try to even up the top of it a little bit. Okay, just do your best. All right, and then when you're finished and you have it formed, you can go around the outside and smooth that if you want to. You can also find tools to use to press into the clay. If you have some seashells at home, they can make nice prints and patterns in the clay. Even something as simple as a paper clip. So if I wanted to, I could fold this in and just use it to make a little design around the edge of my clay, just gently pressing in. Okay, so that's up to you. You can do that, you don't have to do that. That's just one of the neat things we can do with clay. So as I'm pressing on the outside, these fingers are on the inside pressing against it just to support that clay. You have to excuse all the background noises. I'm at school. Okay, so then when you're finished with that, another thing that we can do is take this extra clay and make maybe a handle, like a little teacup, or like a basket. Okay, so those are 2 ways that you can do that. You don't have to. This one here has not used a coil, so that's fine too. If you want to use a coil, you take that leftover clay, squeeze it, and then roll it out. And just like I said about the walls of the pot, you don't want the coil to get too thin, because then it can kind of flop over and it won't look very good. Okay, so this is up to you where you want to use it. I'm going to attach mine like a handle. So I'm going to start by pressing right here on the inside, and it's really important when you attach clay, you have to smooth it together so it will stick and so it won't pop off. And then I'm just going to pinch off where I don't need that much. And again, press and smooth it in. And when I say smooth it in, what you're really trying to do is make it look like that's all one piece of clay. Okay, and I'm just going to pull that out a little bit. Check the inside. Now, doing this is definitely a bit of a challenge, so if it's not working out for you, you don't have to do it. Okay, you don't have to include a handle if you don't want to. All right, so that's that. If I had wanted to make it a basket, I would have been doing the same thing, just attaching it here. Okay, so that's your choice. And then you also can use a pen or a pencil. If you wanted to decorate around the outside, you can see how this student has drawn some hearts and a little person and some lines inside of there. So you can also kind of just carve onto it that way as well. You just want to be careful that you don't push all the way through. Okay, and just have fun with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right, and when you're done, on the bottom, you're going to use your pen or pencil to lightly carve your name. Don't push all the way through. I'm just going to write Helms on mine. Okay, and then you'll let it sit out and dry, and then you can bring it back to me when we come back from the holiday break. So that's the week of January 4th. By then, it will be dry like this. We call this stage of clay bone dry because all of the moisture has evaporated out of it, but it hasn't been fired yet. So this is wet clay. This is bone dry clay. And then after I fire it, it turns this color, and this is fired clay. So you'll see it kind of goes through a few stages of coloring as we go through the process. And then when you get to this stage and I give it back to you, it will be up to you how you want to finish it. You guys could paint them if you want. You could leave it like this. That's perfectly fine. A lot of times in class we'll use crayons or oil pastels or paint on top of it. So that's what has been done with this one. So that stage will be up to you. But when you get it back, after you've brought it to me in January, I'll fire it and I'll leave it for you to pick up again, and it will look like this. Okay, and at this point it'll be up to you how you want to finish it. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email or a message on Canvas. And I hope you have fun and enjoy your holiday. Bye, guys.